when I talk to expert marketers in the healthcare space, we usually dive right into tactics and strategies, which are awesome. You need them, what to do next, where to advertise, how to generate leads. But today we're going to take a step back, because before you start on tactics, you actually need a plan. And that starts with defining what the outcome should be for your practice. What do you want to achieve? And unfortunately, a lot of healthcare owners skip this step, and it ends up costing them a lot of time, money, and momentum. So in this episode, we're going to talk to a marketer who focuses on the big picture that's going to help you build a marketing plan that's not only effective, but actually financially responsible and aligned with your long-term business goals. I think you're going to enjoy this episode. I know that I did. I definitely got a couple of really important nuggets of how to position not only our firm, but how to, convince people to utilize your services. So I think you'll enjoy it. And I know that I did. So enjoy. I'll see you on the next one. Practice owners, tired of working hard but not seeing the financial results you deserve? I'm Eric Miller, and my best-selling book, How to Become a Financial Beast, is your game changer. Learn how to maximize profits, pay yourself right, and build wealth outside your practice. Download now for free. Okay, we are live. Welcome back to the Financial Beast podcast. I'm your host, your BFF, best financial friend forever, Eric Miller. Welcoming you back to the podcast. It's a good one, isn't it? So for those of you that don't know anything about us or Econologics Financial Advisors, we're a registered investment advisor. We show healthcare owners how to acquire, control, and invest their money because let's face it, nobody just wants to barely get by. You can check us out at econologicsfinancialadvisors.com. You go to our website, and as always, if you feel up to it, please give us a subscribe or a share so that we can continue to have awesome guests on and continue to do this. So that being said, we're going to talk about something that I think most practice owners, when they first get into business, maybe you didn't think about it, but it's marketing. And, as healthcare owners, most of you went to school, you learned how to help patients. You didn't really learn how to market your business. Certainly didn't learn much about financial aspects as well. So the topic is how to build which I love, building a financially responsible marketing plan. Because let's face it, there's no way your practice is going to survive if you don't market or if you don't know how to market. And so we're going to talk about that. We're going to dig deep. And to do that, I'm going to bring in Carl White of the MarketVisory group, who is going to help us clarify things that owners need to know, maybe some things that you don't need to do, and just really impress upon you the importance of having a marketing plan. So, Carl, thanks very much.
Thanks for having me. Yeah. It's funny you say you didn't think about marketing. It's true, and there's just a lot of justified negative feelings about the marketing industry in general, so we don't help ourselves.
True. And what would where'd that come from? Just bad?
My own. So, the way I say it is, I love marketing, but I'm not a fan of most other marketers. So I'm probably making a lot of enemies right now. The industry can say a lot of silly things and make a lot of, silly promises. And I don't know why. I mean, I try to stay up. Our world is more like, so local marketing, local medical practices, local practices in healthcare. And that's local marketing is its own kind of subset. And I try to keep up on some of the research, like what's Google doing now and on this. And some of the tests that I see run they're terrible. I mean, they're terrible. We tried X on one client and we saw this result. Therefore, Google has changed to that. Well, no, they haven't. You haven't proven that. And so there's a lot of that. I see one thing I see that's kind of common is, somebody will say, this works in this situation, but they don't clearly, for example, what it takes to successfully, market, say, a local pediatrics practice is really, really different from what it takes to market you guys. You are
Mm-hmm.
a national B2B company. A pediatrics practice is a local business to patient, business to consumer. They're different. The tech stack's different. The challenges are different. What your strategies are different. I don't see a lot of that. These things matter, and they really do. And so when you put it all together, it just um, and sometimes I come across as anal and overthinking and over analytical. I'm like, I don't think so. I mean, who disparages himself, right? But it's just like I don't know, a little sloppy. Um,
Yes.
and even if, take like a general dentist versus a periodontist. Well, their
Mm-hmm.
strategies are going to be different because how they get
Yeah.
patients is different. But you don't see a lot of that distinction sometimes, and it matters. And a lot of doctors, and dentists and whatever, they know what good cause effect looks like, and their spidey sense goes up when it's not there, even if it's on a topic that's really, really foreign to them. And they ask a question, they get a crappy response, and then here we are.
Yep.
So
Here we go.
it's a lot of reasons, but marketing, there is a science and a tradecraft to it, and it's one of the things I like about it.
I think that's very true. The same thing with in the financial realm as well. I mean, there's definitely like basic principles, basic rules that you have to know,
Yeah,
but there's also an art to it. And just like you said, every practice is going to be a little different. Every industry is going to be a little different. I'm sure your message, how you word things,
yeah,
is going to be a little different. And you just need to hire someone that kind of sees that and is willing to, to test and, just has some experience in your industry. I
yeah.
always think that that's really valuable to do that.
Yeah. Yeah, you see, like, there's a lot of agencies and they can make it work, and God bless them. But you just got to be careful when you approach, say, a doctor's office and say, we work with a lot of car dealerships. So but we know the
Yeah,
tools and the techniques. And,
for
maybe, but you
sure.
haven't convinced me just because of that. And so, like, we specialize. I mean, 9 out of
And
every 10.
what got you into healthcare then?
I've been doing marketing commercial healthcare forever. Before this, I worked in large corporate America, Baxter and Hollister specialty. Baxter's fun. Like, Baxter is all over the intensive care unit. But the funny thing is that if you're a doctor, you know that. If you're a patient, you don't, because you're probably unconscious recovering in the ICU bed. But we're all over, but very specialty. Hollister even more so. My father was a pharmacist and owned an independent pharmacy, and I worked in that grow. I've had one job in my working life that was not somewhere in this world, and I really like it. And what I like is that for me, my clients are good at what they do. The products I marketed were good at what they did. And for as hard as we work to convince other people of that, it's just nice to know that at the other end of that, some patients better off because they made what we think is a good choice, obviously.
Yeah.
There's lots of things that you can market, like on the retail or the consumer side. They just don't excite me. But this does. And I can, we've got a lot of clients that work with kids. I mean, it's like, how do you not get on board and get passionate about that?
No doubt.
So
Yeah.
it's what gets me. And for me, like, we are not a generalist agency. We're a healthcare marketing agency. My brain can't keep track of the depth of knowledge about an industry that I feel we need to have in more than one. And as it is, we've got medical, dental, and, there's already some variety.
True. Yeah.
But, if I also had, a restaurant or whatever, it wouldn't work for me. So I've always specialized. I believe in it.
There's only so much bandwidth somebody has. I feel for you because we're the same way. It's like I can't imagine. I always said if you're going to be good at being a financial advisor, you need to know a little bit about where the person's money's coming from. Like, how do they make their money, and what's their industry, and if you understand that industry, maybe you can tweak it, show them how to make it better, maybe allow them to acquire more money in that industry.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to there's no way I can understand like from industry to industry to industry. So we were like,
Yeah.
healthcare, that's it. I understand that's a pretty simple model. I mean, there are different, layers to it, but it's a patient driven model. People are sick or need help and they come to this facility to get better, and there you go.
And what you're going to tell a prospective patient about a doctor's office is very different than what you're going to tell somebody about some
other widget.
The changes on your menu or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, it's just totally different. And I am unable to switch that well. So
yeah,
I
feel you.
Yeah.
I feel you.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, building a financially responsible marketing plan. Like, let's talk about that. What's a marketing plan? Like, what should that look like for someone?
So a marketing plan responds to a goal. So, and the goal is how much revenue growth do we need in the upcoming year or whatever it is? How
Mm-hmm.
many more patients do you require? When I started, I used to say, what do you need? What do you want? Well, we'd like to be a lot bigger. That's not helpful because
Yes.
for two different examples. We want to double in the next 3 years. Okay. A second example, we're happy where we are, but we lose patients to attrition, whatever. But we need to recover that. So that's like more, say, incremental. So right on its surface, the I want to double in 3 years would necessitate a larger marketing plan than one that says, let's kind of keep ourselves where we are, you would think.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so that's like step one on financially responsible. The second step is let's quantify both of those and let's just really quantify it. How much revenue does that total? What's the revenue per patient? Typical. I know most practices get a variety of patients. You never quite know. So let's pick a
Yeah.
conservative number that says the typical new patient that comes in is worth about X. And I always say in the first year, and most people can do that. So, okay, you can start to say, so let's build that up, and that's X amount of dollars per year. You want some kind of ROI. So the marketing plan's budget should be commensurate to that. Occasionally I'll talk with a prospective client and I'll literally we're not really sure. We don't know. And then I say to them, look, I'll be guessing. I'll be
Yeah.
guessing. And the other question that I ask is, if there are really blank stares on that is, so if there was amount of money that you were spending every month, how large would that have to be for you to lie awake at night worried about it? And I will do my best to come in under there. And if I can't, I'll tell you. I might just, that's how we operate.
Oh, snap. That's a
But
great
and
way.
sometimes even that,
Say that again. Say that again. So you ask the person, how much would you be?
So imagine
willing?
you're spending X amount of dollars per month
Yeah.
with us.
Yeah.
To market, and we don't even know what's in that plan because at this point in my process, I haven't proposed a plan. This is our first step is let me ask you this big fat battery of questions about your practice, your background, your goal, your current, all sorts of stuff, and I take that and I come back a few days to a week later with a proposed marketing plan in a lot of detail. And one of the last questions I ask after I ask, so what's a typical value per patient? What are let's try to get some sort of guardrails. And I don't know. Do you have a marketing budget? No. Have you ever thought about marketing budget before? No. We've never really thought about it before. We've just been growing. And now we're sort of, have this problem. Okay. If there was an amount of money that you were spending on marketing every month for, let's say, a year, how big would that number have to be for you to lie awake at night worried about it? Like really worried about it. And sometimes I get an answer and sometimes I don't. But it's just trying to break through I don't know what to tell you, Carl, about budget or anything. Because my response is guessing doesn't serve either one of us. I'm kind of guessing. I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah,
because you hear the rules of thumb on how much people should be spending on marketing. And, I've heard anywhere between 7 and 10% of your revenue should be spent on marketing. But I kind of like your approach because it really all depends on what
I hate those numbers. I hate them. I never use them. And the reason
where do you want to get to?
Yeah, where do you want to get to? And by the way, those numbers they don't take a single industry in mind.
No.
It's just these gross. Well, if you're a 5 million, if you're a growth mode, it should be this. If you're at $5 to $10 million, just what the hell does that have to do with anything? It should be that. I don't even use them. I never bring them up. Nobody's ever brought them up to me. I'm aware of them and I ignore them for those reasons.
Okay.
So here's the thing about a marketing plan also. There's two resources. There's money and time. Let's take a startup. Money's short, time might be bigger. And I've said to enough people, look, the two of them together have to equal enough resource. So if you're short on one, the other's got to compensate. And together they have to be enough. How much is enough? I don't know. There's no particular rule of thumb. But if you're telling me like you just opened, you have no patience and it's shoestring, I get it, then you got to get out there and hustle.
Mm-hmm.
Just do it. Compensate with your own time. Get out there.
Yeah. But I think your approach really gets the person to start looking at their business, as an investment,
Mm-hmm.
because we have, we try to ask people all the time, like, hey, what's the highest and best? You have a facility here that can see so many patients.
Mm-hmm.
It can have so many staff, so many. What is the highest and best use of this facility?
Mm-hmm.
And that's your goal.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, great. And if you're at 50% capacity compared to where you could be, okay,
Mm-hmm.
then that's the goal. I mean, we want to try to get it up to 85, 90% capacity.
Yeah.
It's going to be much more beneficial for you. The place there'll be a lot more money,
Yeah.
and you'll be much happier. And I think that's that's a great way to start. Then great. So you need to increase 40%. Like, this is now what you're going to need to do from a marketing perspective to fill up the bucket.
Yeah. And
So
what
to
I
speak.
try to do is to say, let's get it down to a patient. So, um, you know, uh, let's say, you're a primary care practice, and the typical dollar value of a new patient is that first visit. I'll make, just for silly numbers, it's $500.
Yeah.
It's $500 that you will collect. Okay. So then if I come back with a marketing plan that's $1,500 a month, we need 3 patients to break even. Do I
Mhm.
feel confident about what I'm proposing? Do I authentically feel confident? So the break even is 3. It's going to take some number of months to get there. And that's what we can count, by the way. But let's just stay with direct. I find that a very useful comparison and it's as simple as an ROI can get, where we can have a conversation about, like, we're not trying to stop at break even, but that's a useful first kind of milestone. Can we at least break even?
Yeah.
I think we can. Okay. And when I said that's what we can count, you're hoping that some of the patients, tell their friends and family, and that's just, it's impossible to track that. And then the last part is to track it. Like, we track new patient gains with
Mhm.
every client that'll let us in. So we are a HIPAA compliant healthcare marketing agency. We put everything in place so we can see the new patient forms. Sometimes clients give that tally to us every month, and we keep a running total. Sometimes we kind of go in and look, whatever's easier. But that's the ultimate test, right? I mean,
Yeah.
that's the ultimate. It's another thing where to go back to your original question about why, why does this, why does my industry have some pockmarks? Another one is how things are measured. And there's a lot of website traffic. Leading indicator, okay. Social media traffic. What is the email open rate? Great. Did it turn into new patients or new patient leads or prospects? We track those other things, not to the depth that most other people do. But we both want to know, are new patients coming in who said, we do the online marketing. So, I found you online as opposed to a friend and family referral or any other
Mhm.
type of referral. And we track them. And you can tell, if there's no better measure. It really isn't.
Yeah. It's so true. All right, so let's keep going on having a good plan then. So I think you had mentioned, obviously the goal that
Mhm.
you're trying to achieve.
Mhm.
What else would be like part of a financially responsible marketing plan?
So you pick the fewest number of strategies needed to achieve that goal. You make it as
Okay.
slim and simple as possible.
So what do you mean by that? Like, not trying to go off and like half cocked in like 6 different directions, like.
6 different directions or only one direction. I mean,
Yeah.
uh, the I need more social media. That's what I'm told. We need more social media. Well, that could be
Mhm.
true, but patients go to more than one place. So let's look at where they go, and just have sensible strategies there. Here's a simple example. For some practices, paid advertising is a good idea. For some, it's not. You can spend a lot of money on paid ads, and it can work out really well, as long as you pick somebody who really knows what they're doing with paid ads. It's a pretty rich platform.
Mhm.
There's certain things that must be in place. This is old hat by now, but your website's got to be presentable. It's got to be simple,
Yes, I
easy to
know.
navigate. You need reviews. You just do. They're a drug. They annoy the crap out of everybody, but you need them. You just do.
there a number that is,
No.
I mean,
You know what?
obviously,
Here's the best thing about reviews and the number. Um, if you practice X are asking every patient who could give you a good review to actually give you a good review, you'll get some. And as long as you're getting some new ones every month or most months, the gross number will take care of itself. And
yes, eventually it will. Yeah.
eventually it will. And you want new reviews. I mean, just anybody listening, just ask yourself, if you read an amazing review that was left last week and you compare the same review that was left last year instead,
Yep.
which one would you think, which one would you pay more attention to? And it's the more recent one. So you don't want old stale reviews only. So just ask people. You got to be proactive about it. Um, Unhappy people will find the time to complain all on their own, but happy people just never think about it. And
Nope.
that's just basic. So you got to ask them. You got to prod them and remind them. And it ought to take care of itself as long as it's easy for them to do. So
Yeah.
you need
Okay.
those. Um, if you are more like on the primary care side of life, like pediatrics or OB or primary care, or, anything else that's sort of the first point of contact, you probably need, all other things being equal, a heftier marketing plan than if you are somebody who's like on, downstream, like specialist on the refer. So we go back to the dentist versus periodontist. All other things being equal, the dentist's marketing plan ought to be a bit heftier than the periodontist's. You could argue against that for certain specific situations. In terms of spending money, now that periodontist needs to get out there more and make those relationships and keep them up. And that could actually generate some spend, but the strategy is different. You don't need to advertise as much to get direct patients because I don't know, 1 out of 100 patients who needs a periodontist is going to hunt directly. The rest are going to get referred.
Right.
Basic stuff. There's nothing mind-blowing about that. But all other things being equal, the more the more that a patient decides on their own versus being referred, well, the more work you need to do to be presentable on your own, because nobody's referring you. That referral cover checks a lot of boxes. You're not getting that as much.
What would you say that, and maybe we've kind of hit this because the biggest mistakes that most healthcare owners are making right now when it comes to their marketing plan? I mean, I can probably just reverse engineer some of the things that you said. You don't have a shitty website, don't have good Google reviews,
Some of that. Make sure this doesn't come on. So we hit a bunch of those, and those are, I'll hit on a couple that I've seen recently. They're not that common, but they can bite. One is make sure it's a marketing problem and not some other kind of problem. So here was the setup.
Ooh, okay.
Prospective client X has 3 doctors, Doctor 1, 2, and 3. Doctor 1 is the owner. He's plenty happy with his patient volume. Doctor 2 is hungry and new to the practice, but grumpy. It's doctor number 3. Doctor number 3 is seeing about half the patient volume that the owner believes doctor number 3 should. So I'm brought in and I'm asking my questions, what's going on? And really what becomes very, very clear is that this is not a marketing problem. Doctor number 3 takes, by any objective measure, way, way, way too long per patient. Way too long per patient. And so, and there's a whole bunch of other things that they were saying that just suggest this isn't a marketing problem. And I told them, don't hire me to send more patients to doctor number 3 because you're just going to have a yet busier waiting room of patients who are annoyed that they're waiting so long. You've got to work on doctor number 3's efficiency on whatever that should, and then adjust. Get doctor. So I said, don't hire me or anybody else because I don't think that's the problem.
How did you spot that? Did you just spot that just based upon?
I don't know how they didn't. So, I hung up the phone and I'm like, I guess we all have blind spots in life because we just kept saying things and I'm like, how are you guys not seeing this? I don't, oh my God. And so when I said it, they're like, wow, you know what? We never thought of it that way. We think you're right. I'm like, good, because save your money. Like, call me when this sounds, call me when there's really a problem. And I meant that in a nice way. Like, get that doctor up. And then we should talk, but maybe it'll take care of itself. And I was just like, I remember thinking to myself, how are you guys not? How do you think? Anyway, but we all have blind spots in life. I'm sure I've got
very. It's very true, and I think I didn't really even. That's a great one, because really in any industry, as people bring on associate doctors, they kind of lose the, I don't want to say the connection with the patients, but there's a standard that that the owner generally has when treating patients. There's an expertise, competency, whatever you want to call it,
Yeah.
and that doesn't always. I mean, as hard as you try to do that, because I'm trying to do that now with
Mm-hmm.
other advisors.
Mm-hmm.
They just don't operate as fast as you do.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's going to take some time for them to do that. So
Yeah.
what you think of as, just like you said, what you think of as a marketing problem is like, that's not really it.
Turns out it's not. It's
Yeah.
something, and it could have. Yeah. Here's another one. This is for startups. Like two things. In no particular order. One, think through. This is another story. So a recent story. Think through your location very carefully. So a specialist comes in. I was brought in by another consultant who was already working with the specialist, and the specialist wants to open up a practice. And by the time he and I come on board, this specialist has leased space, drywalling, painting, getting ready. We do a little market analysis. So my first question was, you can just Google and just in that town and go, wow, there seems to be a lot of competition here. So my first question was, so what's different and valuable about you? Like, why? There's a lot of choices in your area. Why are they going to choose you? And there really wasn't any answer, let alone a good one. So then I dug deeper. And there are, depending on how you count full-time equivalents, 25 to 41 competitors within a 6-mile radius. I'm telling you, guy, you need something really compelling because there's a lot of choice. And they're
Yeah.
entrenched in the area and you are not. And just, I'm not telling you not to do it, but do some homework, please. And so the message is, think through your location really, really carefully, maybe more so than you already do. And there's a lot of variables on why you choose the location that you choose, more so than this. But just think through the competition. And if you're going to go in an area with even a reasonable amount of competition, start thinking to yourself, why are they going to choose me? Why is my target market going to choose me instead of them? What am I bringing to the table that's different and valuable? It's got to be both. If it's
Right.
valuable and everybody offers it, so what? If it's different but it's not valuable, who cares? It's got to be both. And the more competition, the more time you need to ride it out. Again, all other things being equal. Which leads to, think about your marketing plan at this one question. Just think about this one question. Why would they choose me? What am I going to offer? What am I going to be? And really incumbent in the answer to that question is, you got to know your competition pretty deeply. You just do. The one answer that this other example gave was you could be different office hours, better office hours. Nobody cared. And some of the competition had not similar, but good enough. And so it was just hard to believe that that was really going to sway the tide. So you got to think through that and give it time. It takes time to come up with these things. And you got to start, you should start before you open, long before you open. Because
I was going to ask you, like, how quickly do people bail on their marketing plan? Too quickly.
Probably. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, and think about, there's this bias, almost this reflex that says, because something is online, it should happen quickly. Well,
Right.
online is a reaction to humans in the real world. And it just takes humans in the real world time to get to know you, like you, and trust you. And it's hard to make that go too much faster than it naturally goes. Having a reason to choose you that's clear and easy to understand and compelling helps. Getting out there in the community helps. Other things help that cost time, not money necessarily. And then, sticking it out. I mean, I've been on social for 2 months and I'm not getting any patients. I'm not surprised. My website's up for 3 weeks. Why aren't they calling? Well, 3 weeks later, they still don't know you. I mean, it's just, they know everybody around you better than you. And so, it's an honest answer. It's not a very satisfying answer. Of course, we would all like things to go much faster and be less risky and more pleasing and better. It's,
there's just an element of patience that you have to deal, that you have to be able to break through and accept.
Yeah.
whenever you're going to plan. And, and right now people are not even, we're trying to do 2026 planning. And I think that we're behind, to be honest with you. People aren't thinking about this right now, and they should. Like, you should be getting your marketing plan together right now of what you're going to be doing in 2026. Not wait until January 1st, to sit down and see what that's going to look like.
Yeah. Or whenever you pull the trigger, just understand that this is part of the financial responsibility. So back to the what's your budget? Like, anybody listening, if think about, get in your mind, what's the typical dollar value of a new patient in a time frame that's relevant? So that could be the first year, the first visit, but pick something and know it. And then you're going to use that so that when you start, if you get, what could I spend? So if it's $2,000 and I spent $25,000, I need 13 patients to break even. I think that's, and if I'd lost it, did I just cripple the whole practice? If the answer is that, that seems reasonable and no, we wouldn't, keep going. Don't pick but you got to think about these things, because everybody in my position is going to ask you the budget question in one way or another.
Right.
And you can lowball it if you want to, try to protect yourself, fine. But one way or the other, otherwise we're guessing. And some will tell you that and some won't, but we all are. Don't have us guess on your behalf. It's not, doesn't go well. It might go well, but the odds of it going well are pretty damn low.
That's great. Okay. Well, Carl, how do people get a hold of you?
Yeah. So, our website, it's a mouthful. MarketVisory Group, market like the word, V as in Victor, ISORY group.com. We are, my Carl White, Carl with a C. You'll find me if you Google me or search for me. And then you can get to our website if that's easier. My email is white, like the color C, at marketvisorygroup.com. So we're on the socials. We're out there. Google us. We try to be, we do this. We should eat our own cooking, and we try to be as easily findable as possible. So we have a podcast also. It's called Practice Care, one word. You've been a guest once. You're coming back. It's for the business side of private practice. We started this by saying you're a great doctor, but the business side, no training, not so much. Or you can learn and you're smart, but you're kind of going out there blind. Practice Care like this tries to help fill that gap. So, yeah.
Excellent. Well, I appreciate it. Thank you very much for being on. And this was really good. So
thanks for the opportunity. I appreciate it too.
Yep. All right, guys. We'll see you on the next one.